just, everything comes in waves. And so it's just the idea that like everything that you experience in a time of where everything is everything, you know what I mean? Where everything is fruitful and people are happy and everybody's healthy, is you're supposed to soak that in and store that up for times when it's not like that. Cause they come in, you got to know that they come in. And that's the key, is to know that that's coming without letting it stop you from enjoying the times that you experience when it's good.
I hear you, Miles. I hear you. My question is, right, or better yet, what I'm trying to understand is, I believe that there's a better mindset that you can have and a better relationship you can have with karma, not one where it's when things are going good, you expect the bad. Like there has to be a better there has to be a better relationship that you can have with karma with that. And I wonder if it boils down to, is it a manifestation thing? Is it a thing of conscious word repetition into one's head and reaffirmations, and you know I'm not sure yet. Because I also subscribe to that.
I think that can definitely be the answer for somebody who experiences that anticipation of, the negative that follows the positive, as anxiety, right? If you experience that as anxiety, then I think that, meditating and learning to pick up thoughts and let them pass and put them down, and that everything of that nature is really helpful. But if you experience that anticipation with peace and with acceptance and with gratitude of, you know, as a reminder to be present in the moment, that this moment is going to pass. So, take a deep breath, in that meta space, but jump back in and be present, because it's not always going to be like this. And I think that's okay,
I do. Okay, and I agree with you. This is something that both of us subscribe to. So it's just a matter of I'm still exploring that realm of spiritual relationship with the world, because there's no denying the fact that, and check this out, right? I've been reading a lot of Richard Dawkins, right? And Richard Dawkins is like this staunch, I don't want to call him an atheist because I'll be disrespectful to him, but he's a scientist who loves to go into religion and expose the realities of the sciences behind religion.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this current book he's got that I'm reading now is Unlearning God. So it pretty much just kind of breaks into the science elements of why is it that the birds fly around in similar shapes. When you look at birds all flying around, how does that happen? Because they take on patterns, but they're not communicating with each other, and they make these very elaborate shapes. And he speaks about how, in an effort to recreate that similar motion, some technicians were able to code for a single bird to do a single function. And as those birds multiplied, you ended up seeing those birds doing the same thing. All to say that even somebody who is that deep into breaking down the science of things and taking the spirituality out of them fails to acknowledge the reality of sometimes there's just a feeling. And what does that feeling mean? Sometimes you are, like you're saying, everything's good, but there's a feeling of, okay, I'm getting ready for whatever may come. Science can't really break that down so much.
Good. I don't want to be broken down by science. I'm an analogy that anomalies can properly explain, B. I switched that, but you know what I'm saying.
I explained it in the hood.
I think there's a deeper question, is that so that might tap into something greater, right? Is like at the end of that road of, happiness and the way that you deal with life, is there as deep a connection between those two things as we equate, right? Like, is it to be happy? Is that the thing that we really want all the time? We're constantly striving, like, are you happy? We're checking in with our friends and loved ones and stuff like that. And that's kind of the question behind a lot of the check-ins and, welcomes and, are you good? Are you happy? But like, I think we put happiness on this pedestal where, like, you're not supposed to go through your whole life happy. right? I don't think you learn. I think there are so many various other states that you can be in that are positive besides just happy. You can be, you know, uncomfortable in a way that is helping you grow. And I don't think that when you're in that, if you're truly uncomfortable and you are truly growing from that, you're not always going to identify as happy in that space. You know what
What
I
would you
mean? Like,
identify
I
as?
think you might identify as at various points tired. You might identify as, frustrated. You might identify as stressed out. You might be short with people, and life is all about figuring out if the reasoning behind that and balancing those reactions and looking at the root causes of that within yourself. Is that because I'm pushing myself into a space where I'm growing, and something that I'm devoting my energy to is taking me to a place where, I'm depleted when I'm interacting with people and I need to reset that? Or am I devoting my energy to something negative that's dragging me further and repeating a cycle of being negative to
Mm.
people? And life is all about balancing that and examining all of those different things. But I think all of that is so much more complex than every day. Like, am I happy? Are you happy? Are we
Yeah.
good? Are we happy? Are we happy together? Body yes. You know what I mean? Like,
Can I ask you on a slightly happy related topic, but when you see in your head, what does the epitome of what this podcast can be look to you?
I would hope this podcast becomes a space where people can turn it on and hear conversations that are important to them had in a more real way than they're had anywhere else, right? Um, I want authenticity to bleed through in everything that we do in every topic. You know what I mean? I don't ever want it to sound formulaic or, even if we've deeply considered what we're saying on the microphone, and even if it's not the first time we're saying it, I want people to understand that it comes from a place of genuinely wanting to have conversations that are both allowing me and you to be vulnerable and growing from that vulnerability, but also that shine a light on things that other people might be, you know, wondering if people even talk about, wondering if there are people that feel the same way, you know? That's what I want this to be. What would you like this to be?
Very much the same. I think in realizing that people go about their days listening to so much information and whatnot. And if we can be able to provide just a space where people can enter to hear relevant content that's been thought about and very intentional positive energy being driven into the space, that's all it is, man. People deal with so much on a daily basis, and both of us are passionate about helping people. So you know if this can be a space where the intentional energy that we bring into it exists there for other people to be able to take on, enjoy the listen regarding things that they care about, things that they want to, would like for us to speak about, things that are current on the news, all of that. So that's why I'm very glad that the structure now allows for us to be able to pick on topics that are on top of people's minds and bring that forward. That's where we've been finding a lot of the praise is in our ability to synthesize information.
Hey, bro. And we bring you that.
Drop the. Oh, I'm on the music. Is this my turn this week, DJ?
Get 'em. Get them.
I bet. Yo, give me some air horns, Pip. Give me some air horns.
I can't give you permission to share sound and give you air horns.
Listen, dude. What can you do is my only question. That's that's. I think that's the only question I have left. Is what can you do?
World, I'm just living in it. I'm just living in it.
Can you hear this right here?
Bum ass niggas. Please don't switch and come back, man, that shit disgusting. Please do not discuss me, they might have to cuff me. When it's time to drop the album, they...
Boss Xavier.
That's how you bring us in. I appreciate
That's
that.
how
Right.
you feel the energy I'm coming with today.
Appreciate that, right?
You feel me, Pimp.
Yes, we in the building with that.
Man, I'll tell you, having a best friend that is a DJ puts so much pressure on you when you're looking for music, because you might think that you're digging deep in the crates, and then I listen to one of your playlists. I love the playlist that you put out recently, and also people should go check that out. All of the How We Rockin' playlist. You can check that out on our SoundCloud. While we're here, let's not forget to remind people to please like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. You can find this podcast anywhere on your DSPs. That's Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Instagram. We there. SoundCloud. We're trying to give y'all where it's most comfortable. You feel me? So don't forget to give that a look. And this is how we coming in with it, man.
What up? My brother a professional out here, man. I'm just following suit. You know what I mean? It's a pleasure to be here with you. What up, people? What up, live? We out here, baby. We out here.
We out
Joe
here.
in the building, Chicago in the building. You know, the
Let them
building is
know.
Chicago. You know what I'm saying? The building is in Chicago. That's stolen land. You know what I'm talking about? This pod is filmed on stolen land. My brother,
How
they know a
about
little
it?
something about stolen. This side in Chicago, you know, we're filming on the land of the Potawatomi people. That land was stolen from them, you know, and the violence that was done to them is inseparable from the state that we find the city in now, the state that we find this country in now. So with that, we got to lift up love between Black and brown people the world over, lift up the names of the Native Americans that were here before us, and we're humbled to be in their land. So with that, you know what I mean? Love to Black and brown folks the world over. Intro over. You at it all the way live. Get in tune, baby. What's good? What's good? You see how I flipped that? It feels good. I
Yes.
said all the way live this time.
Yes.
Out here, baby. You know what I'm saying? This is the give and go. You are now in tune. You know, you never know now. You never know what you gonna get with us, baby. You know what I'm saying? But what you always will get is I make sure that I check in with my brother. How you feeling, bro? How you
I'm
feeling,
feeling.
big dog?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. Listen, I think after the review that we got back from the last comment, from the last show, both of us have just been so excited to run back here and dish out some of this content to these folks, man. And the way that we have broken that content down for the people is by breaking this show up into 3 different parts. Now, if you're first time listening, we're about to break that down for you. Those that have been rocking with us, you know exactly how we get down. We keep it simple. We have stumble upon. So me and Miles discuss things that we have stumbled upon throughout the day. Now, that could be anything ranging from thoughts, conversations, inspirations, and anything between that. And today, we ask a very important question. Is Kendrick still king? There's conversation to be had around that. A Kendrick conversation is always relevant, by the way.
Big facts, big facts. And hip hop conversation is always relevant to all the way live. So you know it ain't nothing new, man.
There
know
you
it ain't nothing.
go. There you go. We dousing y'all. Dousing is not the right word. We gifting y'all.
Yeah, bro. Nah,
What is
we
this
getting
motion? What am I doing? What is this?
I don't know. You might be sprinkling. You might be, you know what I'm saying? You get a
Drizzling is
little
the word I was going for.
drizzle. Okay, so we got his way drizzle in the building. You got his way drizzle.
No
in the building.
cap. My young rapper name was Zway Jizzle. Young Jizzle, I kid you not. Let me wrap this. Let me wrap this up.
Oh, now he finna wrap it up. Oh, this shit is crazy. We getting into it.
Listen, how we broke the show down. Stumble upon current news. On current news, we go ahead, we take what's at the top of everybody's conversation. We take what's on top of the news meter, and we bring that down, we break it down with y'all. Now today, what we want to get into is the latest WhatsApp update. WhatsApp, the messaging platform. We dive a little bit into that. As always, we bring you unbiased research. We give you guys unbiased thoughts. You know, we coming straight live with it. There's no PR. There's no team behind us. It's just
They scrambling.
we
scrambling.
we tried to hire a PR, but they didn't want to stay.
Hey, bro, they left. They heard what they told us. Good luck. That they would rather be audience than PR, and that's fine. We love y'all still.
There you go. And then we get into recommended and review. On recommended and review, this now is what we engage with the people on. I can't stress this enough, people. If there's anything you want us to talk about, let us know. Hit us up with it. Let us know, and we'll rock with it, man. And today, what people want us to talk about, Miles Xavier, is sports related, which is the UFC Fight Island 7, baby.
Bruh.
Sports.
I'll tell you one. I ain't gonna talk about that whole fight night. I'm talking about one fight.
We don't
Only
need
one.
to. We don't need to talk about the whole fight. We need. There's only one thing that
Only
is
fight.
there to be spoken about. Listen, current news, hot topics, sports. What else?
What else you
Welcome,
want?
welcome.
Are you not entertained?
Come
Are you
on,
not
man.
entertained?
Come on, man. Yo, Miles Xavier.
For the 18, we in two. What y'all want from us, man?
Miles Xavier, if you could allow me, my brother, to dap on in, man, I must tell you that today I'm coming into this space with some extremely intentional, positive energy. You know, Sunday's my yoga day. I take that day to reflect, and I channel the energy of presence of mind when it comes to this podcast, man. You know, we've been speaking to people. They've been showing us a lot of love for the content that we put out. They've been showing a lot of love to the work ethic that we put into this, man. And I just want to appreciate and acknowledge all of those people. You know, we hear it. It keeps us going. It gives us excited to come over here and give to you guys a little bit of what we feel from this podcast, man, which is love and appreciation and banter, as always.
Yo, man, that was beautiful. That was beautiful, dog. How do I follow that? How do I follow that? I'm
Can you
Miles Xavier. I'm
juggle?
cool, straight. I'm decent. I'm chilling out here. I come to you guys with gratitude, mad gratitude. Um, and part of like not a small part of that gratitude is the fact that I'm here recording this. The holidays for college students are just wrapping up. A lot of y'all that are on the semester, trimester system, whichever one gives y'all the lick in the extension of the Christmas holiday, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all might just be starting to think about going back to campus. My younger brother just headed back out, so it was
Oh,
amazing to be able
word?
to spend time. Yeah, man. Him and my mom just left out this morning. And so that's even more gratitude on top of it because, you know, y'all can't see, but it's snowing out here. We in Chicago, baby. It's just starting to show a little bit of Chicago winter is starting to do what it do. So looking at that, it's like the fact that I'm sitting here and my mom knows this is what I'm doing. It's the fact that she's willing to go make that drive. She actually left yesterday, avoided most of the snow, but still
Yeah.
the fact that she's making that drive, that this is part of, amongst some other things I was doing this weekend, part of the reason that I didn't go with them to make that drive, you know what I mean, is huge. So gratitude for family, that looks out, that supports you. Um, Gratitude for the time I got to spend with family over the holidays. Gratitude for the holidays and then ending and wrapping up into a time when we can get back to our grind and make some amazing thing happen this year, man. That's where it's at.
Hey, man. So without further ado, we bring to you the first topic, which is Kendrick still king?
Bruh. Thank you, man. Thank you for allowing me to just, once again, steer the boat back to hip hop, steer the boat back to, our old anchorage of lyrical miracle, just true love for the art of hip hop. And so when you think about that and at its nerdiest and at its most, you know what I mean, like you in the weeds of it, you think about an artist's legacy and you think about everything that an artist could potentially be, right? And when you think about somebody like Kendrick, who has embodied that from a lyrical perspective, from a, always being on the forefront of issues when it comes to artistry and expressing, just a sense of community and a sense of care for Black folks, for people all over the world, right? Songs like All Right that have been a part of protests that have brought people together in such an amazing way. It's a little, and I hate to even detract from any of that just by even saying for 2020 to have been such a year of chaos and of, of us wanting to hear from somebody, anybody that's making some sense, right? And I think in some ways, some of our like leaders in terms of that have platforms did step up to that plate. Chappelle tried, I think, using through his art form, but for Kendrick to be silent, I would just pose the question: does that detract from his legacy for the year to have been so what it was, with so much to comment upon, with people looking for something to uplift them as a musical artist, does that detract from his legacy for him to be silent and not put anything out?
You see, Miles, definitely. I think what's important to, and I love the question that you're posing, because undoubtedly we've moved from a point in 2020 where the bigger purpose was the unification in the voices of the leaders that we have in this community. It was a time where there was a lot of fake leadership that was going on. There was a time of a lot of misinformation. It was a time of a lot of confusion as to what are we really fighting for? How do we stand against it? We're fighting police brutality. We're fighting historical systemic injustices. I mean, you're a community organizer, right? So you understand as well just exactly how difficult it is to organize people, and how even these large institutions of ours that we respect, they also find it hard to find leadership on how to go forward, right? Let's not skip over that. So that question is weighty, because at that moment, that's exactly what we needed. And his voice would have been undoubtedly valued at that point in time. It depends on how you weigh it. But in my book, I will say that I was disappointed to see Kendrick not step up at that light, especially as like you had mentioned, he had made songs like All Right, which are protesting anthems. These are our modern day protesting anthems. We gonna be all right, So still right now, they were listening to that as they were protesting. On the other side, Miles Xavier, I also understand that people also have a life outside of the things that we see in public. I mean, for you, throughout the whole marching protest, you're at the back. You're at the a back of seats. Anybody who would be looking towards you as a community leader could also say, "Hey, man, what was he doing?"
Sure, for sure. Because yeah, and I want to acknowledge that I think we did see pictures of Kendrick at protests, right? And so to be a part of, again, community in that way is very important.
Can I
For
just interject, G? I'm asking you, what have you done? You've been nothing but on TV for the last couple of months.
we don't it's all good. That's an okay question. I don't need to.
What have I
I'm
been
not
doing?
threatened by it. I'm not threatened by that question.
Ask ABC what I've been doing.
I'm not threatened by that question.
Ask Chicago News at 7 what I've been doing. They know. I'm
Hey,
sorry. Go
somebody
ahead.
knows.
I had to use you as an example, but my G is what I'm
No,
saying.
but I appreciate that. I appreciate that because, but I at the same time, I don't think as much. I think in the ways that people do look to me to fulfill that role, I fulfilled it, right? With even if that's not through social media, because that's never, in a not in a way that is readily apparent. Every single thing I've been doing to, you know, public knowledge, right? Behind the scenes, I'm a behind the scenes character. I'm a string puller. You know what I mean? As somebody who's center stage as Kendrick Lamar, it's amazing to see him again participate in protests and to be a part of his community. You would maybe expect him to participate with his voice as somebody who has been so outspoken on Black issues in the past, right? So I don't know what's coming. Maybe he's got some amazing music that is going to drop, and we don't know that this is the bottom of this, this whatever chaotic time period era that we're in. So maybe there's an even more poignant moment to drop music, and maybe he does it at that moment. And you're absolutely right. He has a whole life, and to live and people to protect in other ways other than making music. Part of where this is also coming from is honestly like thinking of other artists like Sam Cooke, right? And thinking of songs like A Change Is Gonna Come, and just what that meant to people at that time. And maybe I'm taking All Right for granted in the moment that it was, and that maybe that's the best you can do, and you can't look to duplicate that. So I'm at a place where I'm grateful for everything that he's done. I'm grateful for his bodies of work, and it's certainly helped me get through days seriously in a very serious way. But I hope he's well, and I hope we hear more from him. This is always coming from a place of just wanting to hear more from somebody who has helped me through those days. And if he never puts out another song, he's still done more for me than most people. You know what I mean? So it always coming from a place of love, and just, and also we bringing his name up. So that's, I hope that is always, I hope it's known that if we bring somebody up as much as we do, and even critics find these type of things, we only would look to critique somebody in this way if we view them on the highest of echelons. So with that, I'm cool.
And for our new users, I just want to let you know we do a segment share on All the Way Live where we give them out some time to beg Kendrick for a new album. And on this rendition,
I thought I came with some heat on this one, boy. I came with my briefcase. You know what I'm saying? Oh,
you
boy,
came with
back
the PowerPoint presentation.
I started conquering. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here. I tried. I played my case. Cut that and send that to him.
Don't drop an album. How could he not drop an album after that, dude?
How can you not?
People
We'll
be
keep
honest
trying.
about it.
We'll keep trying. Keep tuning in all the way live for the best arguments as to why Kendrick Lamar should drop music. We got that for you. We got that. We got news on relationships. And we got goddamn politics down. We got that. It's a, that's a three-peat. That's a hard three. That's a big three right there.
Oh man, but if we joke around about it, but I understand too that a year as commotion filled as 2020, where mentally people are being forced into environments and situations that they've never had to be in before, it could be a detractor from creating art. And so I fully understand that anybody that's fully ingrained in the art process might feel as though their art, what inspiration might not be coming for that art, or that art is not necessarily speaking exactly into what they're feeling right now. And I can always respect that, but that being said, over here at the All the Way Live podcast, we love to appreciate good work that people do into their communities. So for us, we do have to give a big shout out to I think it's the TDE Foundation, but the work that the boys in TDE are doing, the work that they're doing in those communities. Why you spot?
Because I don't want to back to back their ass, but we could go to the TDE Gazelle conversation to apply even more pressure. But we're gonna let Kendrick rest for a little bit.
No, Miles, because this is an important thing, an important point that you bring it up. While the TDE King is being quiet, they are storming Winterfell right now. If you catch my analogy, the Griselda goblins are storming Winterfell right now.
For sure. It's an army of folks that are just prepared to continue to put out and continue to dominate what, I think what's really carrying hip hop forward sounds like. You know what I mean? I think a lot of this is a deeper conversation, but I think a lot of the music that's coming out as far as rap right now doesn't care very much for hip hop and the essence of hip hop and what hip hop means in terms of culture of being welcoming and even in the more corny and immaterial things like being connected to graffiti and DJing. And I just think hip hop, that aspect of it is dying, right? That cultural aspect of it, while rap and melodic music based on it shoots into the stratosphere. And I think Griselda is carrying that hip hop, along with Boldy James, along with a few other names that are, you know what I'm saying? Even Run the Jewels, you know what I mean? But that's a whole nother conversation, right? It's hip hop dying again. Was Nas right 3 times in the 90s?
Hip hop is dead did not come out in the 90s.
Yeah, it's 2000s. But you dig what I'm saying?
for comedic effect. But I like
it hit,
dude.
And I'm chasing that. I'm chasing that Azalea Banks joke, dude. I'm chasing that.
It's gotta land naturally. It's gotta land naturally. Listen, I like the point you put up about the death of hip hop. But look, I think when we're seeing so much so many retro elements of hip hop coming back, even with the sound that's being pushed through by Griselda, which is directly related to the impact that Rock Marciano had on pushing that sound through. But that classic bebop style, we see that often. We even saw it with Joey Badass coming through with 1999, taking it back to that same hip hop style. And even the dress and the culture element of it, hip hop is running culture, you know. So even though it might be a new spin on and a new take and interpretation of what the culture is, undoubtedly, when it comes to hip hop and history, it is proving that it is a cyclical feature. I mean, even dude, they're dancing to Nelly songs, dude. It just ends up coming back.
Who's dancing to Nelly songs? Where?
Let me tell you, let me tell you where they are dancing to Nelly songs, dude. All over Instagram. You should go see it. Some of the best content out yet.
Instagram or TikTok?
All right, now we're getting too specific. So this is what we'll do, right?
All right, go ahead.
Hold on, time. Nigga, you tell me you haven't seen all these shawties dropping low to Nelly?
No. Where are they dropping in low to Nelly?
It's called the Bust It Challenge, dude. We gotta take a break and you gotta watch this.
The Bust It Challenge. Oh, I got a meme I got a meme that said a whole bunch of dudes looking at the phone and said bust it, and they're all smiling. But I just thought it was girls dancing to that song.
Yeah. It's about to be us. Pay attention. Look at the things we take intermissions for.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I know you done seen that shake before. But wait till you see it. The Bust It Challenge. It's the most ass shaking of ass that has ever been found.
Nah, dude.
For the bust it, you might bust it. Fuck it. Challenge.
Yo, none of this can go on the episode, dude. Not one episode after my mom subscribed, dude. Not an episode after my mom subscribed.
Bruh, come on, man. We engaging. We building.
We can't dive into busted challenge reviews. What episode?
If we can bring the young folks good word, we can bring the old folks.
Hold on. This content here is for our dads.
Hell yeah. Big facts,
This is the dad segment, dude.
Happy Father's Day.
All throughout Twitter. That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they've been doing that since the song came out. They've been busting it. They probably before the song came out. Life imitate art imitate life. They busting it.
Shit, dude. Nah, we gonna cut it. I refuse, dude. At least two, dude. She fresh off of a Trump episode, dude. I can't. It's too.
Bruh. Hey man, we gotta be honest. We gotta call it like we see it.
My dad gonna call me. Hey, yo, so that.
You know my eyes bad. I put my glasses on. I tried to see what the YouTube video was called. I couldn't see it. I couldn't read it.
Bust challenge. Yeah. Yo, Miles Xavier. Definitely. This definitely gonna be a punch in. I'll tell you that. Definitely punch it in. Current news, brother. Current news. Now, recently, we can still edit all this shit out. I put dude, let me show you how dumb muscle memory is. You know, usually when you finish watching a video like that, you close everything. I close.
Yep. That's good. You don't want to deplete that muscle memory. That's good. You should eat a cookie or something to praise yourself. That's what you want to do. I almost got on a Zoom call where I was going to have to share a screen with some other screen up. And I was like, whoa, Nelly.
Bust it.
That's the real bust it. That's the real bust it. Whatever. Had a King Day planning committee in the uproar.
Dude. All right, boom. We're about to jump into it.
Yes, sir.
Damn, I wish I could keep that, dude. That is lit. That is Patreon material right there, son.
I bet, bro. We're going to have to keep that for the archives. Maybe we'll release it. Get a few more comments. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Cool. 3, 2, 1, go. Miles Xavier. So, over the last month, we have had a lot of information come in about WhatsApp planning on upgrading their policy issues. Right now, this is straight up from the Business Insider, where it says WhatsApp is delaying its privacy policy changes that critics said would have forced users to share personal data with Facebook, according to a company blog post published Friday. The delay was due to the confusion and misinformation surrounding the new policy, according to the company. They'll sneak a period up on you, won't they? According to the company, it said the new policy update only includes new options for people to manage their business on WhatsApp and does not expand our ability to share data with Facebook. The date of the new policy rollout will be pushed back until May 15, according to the blog post. WhatsApp also said no one's account will be suspended or deleted on February 8th. The article goes on to mention how on Monday, WhatsApp attempted to address the uproar over privacy concerns with a post on its website, explaining that the update was designed to aid businesses on its platform, as it reiterated in Friday's post. Yes. In that time, WhatsApp has seen, alternatives such as Signal have seen 7.5 million downloads in a week, with a 4,200% spike interest in just a week.
I love it.
Why?
Because they scrambling. And it goes to what you were saying earlier, bro. You know, off mic, when we were talking about people having a say with their dollar. You know what I mean? They're trying to put privacy measures in place. They're trying to put in language that it sounds as comforting as possible, despite how much data they really do want from you, right? And It's the same thing, man. And we happen to be talking about Facebook, but it's the same thing with Google. The fact that your Google email that you see log in with Google across so many different platforms, across different sites and different logins and different, portals, means that, yeah, they're tracking where you're going. They're tracking your data. They're tracking what you buy, what you like, what you watch, what you see. You know what I mean? Of course. But it's interesting to see these companies react to buying power and start to try and at least be comforting in the language that they put around privacy.
Yes. And I love how you touched on how this is another affirmation on the consumer power, on the power of the consumer. So essentially what we ended up seeing, WhatsApp updates is WhatsApp lets us know that there's going to be some updated features which lower their data policies and security measures, and essentially share data from WhatsApp to Facebook. I think it's important to break down to people that WhatsApp is owned by Facebook, right? So when you understand what's at play when it comes to these social media companies, there's a big push to monopolizing the tech space, right? So you have Facebook, which owns WhatsApp and owns Instagram, and correct me if I'm wrong, the one that also owns TikTok, which is possible. No, it does. No. TikTok does not own. I remember there was issues with that, right? But anyways, you have these large corporations which then own a lot of the other ancillary internet services, which is what they're now going to refer to them as. So obviously, I don't want to skip over the fact that it could definitely help in terms of being able to share information from your Facebook into your WhatsApp. What it said is that you could be able to reach out to companies that were on Facebook and text them directly through your WhatsApp. Now, do I think that that is the total value package that was brought in? No, I do think that there was some dubious activities that were going on. And I'm just always happy to see the people vote with their money and shake these companies up a bit.
Yeah, man. I think we're in a place where when it comes to the trade-off between convenience and privacy, when it comes to Google, when it comes to, Apple, when it comes to Facebook, Instagram, where you're making these decisions, one step at a time. Whenever you get a new device, whenever you get a new service, and it asks you that series of questions. Does this device have access to your camera? Does this device have access to your files? Does this device have access to, all this series of things that request access the first time you use it? Your microphone, and you store that in the same place that you have your banking app that has your banking information, and you store that in the same place that you have all your photos of you and your family, and you store that in the same place that you're on social media posting whatever you think. And your phone and your several passwords that you set for yourself become this kind of safe for your whole life, right? And we need to be paying attention to privacy, because the way that they treat that information, not only in keeping all of it safe from financial fraud, from blackmail, from anything you might have on you, documents, from pictures, from anything like that, is one thing, but also making sure that these companies don't just hold all that and make you pay back for it, right? And so there are
Yeah.
a lot of reasons to pay attention to privacy and what's going on with the rules that they're setting and how much of your data that they're collecting, because you because nothing goes away anymore, and increasingly everything is digital. So even those of us who feel like we have nothing to hide can be put in a position where something we care about is at the whim of somebody else. Just imagine for 1 second being locked out of your own bank account, and you can't check your balance, you can't see what anybody's doing with it, and
And
that
that happens
could,
all the time. That
for
happens
sure.
all the time, and I'm glad you touched on like the fraud elements of it, where you realize that we're so vulnerable when it comes to cyber attacks and data and a lot of our information being ushered out. I mean, when you go into the dark web, which is the portion of the internet that you have to essentially mask the identity in which you use, in which you access that part of the internet. When you go into the dark web, you see that they're selling credit card numbers and names for thousands, for the hundreds. $100 gets you 1,000 names, and so people are then able to utilize your information and whatnot. So some of the recently, South Africa had a massive breach in its banking security, and they ended up stealing nothing but just names and phone numbers, and credit card numbers. They just went in there and stole data. They did the same thing similar to the Bank of the Philippines a few years ago, where there's just been targeted attacks on these banks to steal no money but just information. There's a big market out there for people's basic information, and people would be so surprised how far one could go with something as simple as your phone number, your address, and your name. That a lot of the times that's enough.
Enough for a lot, man. And it translates from everything from the calls you get on your phone that are spam calls. How did these people get your number? You know what I mean? How are these people contacting you, reaching out with all these, your auto insurance has been up for a certain amount of days. Please call us and give us your social security number. All these scam calls, and it connects all the way to the news, man. We see these people. We see Mark Zuckerberg, in 2018, we saw him in front of the Senate getting questioned about Cambridge Analytica and their hacks, right? And then we see again, and then we see again later in 2020 being questioned about misinformation related to the U.S. elections, right? So in all of these issues, whether it's privacy, whether it's misinformation, right? Whether it's, the calls you get on your phone, whether it's viruses on your computer, it all relates to privacy. It all relates to how these apps share information. It all relates to the the passageways that we open for convenience when we connect all of our devices, when we connect our accounts, our bank accounts, our private messages, our communication, our photos, and everything to the internet.
Yeah. Look, the way I see it is that we are the names in phone books. You know, this generation that has been ushered into this this multiverse of internet and globalization and data sharing and information. A lot of the principles on how to a lot of the principles on how to be fraudulent in the internet space are based on the lessons that our generation has our generation, the generation before us, has taught the internet, right? And so I think what's very important is for people to realize that, one, we're more vulnerable than we are. I have a friend who does coding and hacking, and he was saying that a lot of the times when you go through into when you utilize a different VPN to go into the dark web, your screen gets smaller, because just the size of the screen alone is enough for somebody to be able to hack into your computer. Understanding what the size, how it was described to me is that your computer and your internet path and your internet, let's say your computer is constantly beaming out information into the internet space regarding your address, your IP address, and the computer make that's being used. Now, with understanding just that information and the size of your screen, it's possible for people to hack into your computer. So even things like that people might not even think about, those are realities out there. So people should, this WhatsApp policy update story doesn't so much speak to the plot holes in WhatsApp's features. It does talk to that, but it also speaks to the general sentiment of people understanding and being frustrated in the lapse of security around their data. So it comes at a time where it's reaffirming that, look, we care more now about what companies are doing with that data. And in an effort, WhatsApp has backtracked. They're going to delay the update. We've never seen something. We don't see this type of thing very often, where a company the size of WhatsApp, that has one of the largest active users in the world, 200 million active users a day that are using WhatsApp. Um, it's we've never seen them backtrack on just an update because of such uproar. But power to the people, man. The revolution will be um, Instagram Live.
It will be. And I think it's important, like you said, bro, that these things aren't the conversation isn't for people to be scared and for people to be, more paranoid in ways that they deal with their phone, and it's to be more careful in the way that you operate online with your digital identity and your digital footprint, but also to, as you just pointed out, bro, to recognize that we do have to be conscious of these things. We do have to be tracking these things in order for both legislators and corporations to take into account what we think and what we want in terms of what happens with our identity and our data, right? If we don't say anything, if we just keep buying the next phone no matter what, if we just keep pressing accept without making some noise when these privacy things happen, right, on these terms and conditions, then they're just going to take as much of our data, as much of ourselves as they can, store it however they want to. Whoever else might hack into it might have access to it, and the companies are going to make us buy it back. So it just behooves all of us to pay attention. Just pay attention. You got to be a lazy person not to pay attention.
Gotta pay attention. Gotta pay attention. Speaking on social media platforms, Miles Xavier, I tossed around this idea to you early on in pre-production, but it does feel very relevant right now. In the wake of the Capitol, the storming of the Capitol, what we ended up seeing is Twitter, YouTube, Facebook ban Trump off of their platforms. Twitter banned Trump, and definitely YouTube suspended Trump's account. I'm not. Hold on. Let's not speak out of ignorance. Take a pause right here. Trump. You heard Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump did not want the National Guard using their bathroom, so they have to rent out a flat that the National Guard can go pee in and whatnot.
White people.
Got Twitter.
Michelle would have been feeding their ass gumbo.
Oh hell yeah! I want to eat Michelle's gumbo.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
That's funny. You sharing something, man. Sharing something. You sharing something.
You remind me of The Office, where Mike is like, a strategy in negotiation is walk out the room unexpectedly. As he starts walking out, Jim goes, 60 Corel Pam Greer. What you say? He turns around and say, what you said, sound like you're about to say something very interesting. Come again.
60 girl, Pam girl.
60 Martin Pam Greer. What? Okay, I got it.
Ready?
What's this?
I forgot what we were talking about.
Snapchat permanently disabled, Reddit banned Trump, Twitch disabled Trump's channel indefinitely. Look, it's a lot. Okay, we can just hit it like that. Ready?
Yeah.
You know, in speaking about social media, Miles, in the wake of the storming of the Capitol, what we ended up seeing is a lot of social media platforms banning Trump. Right now, we saw definitely Twitter put a after many warnings, if you will, Twitter eventually banned Trump indefinitely. We do know that was Trump's largest presence on social media. If not, he was the largest. He had the largest presence on social media. Trump, I call him the king of. I call him the king of Twitter. He was banned off of Twitter, banned off of Facebook and Instagram indefinitely. Google owned YouTube, suspended Trump's channel for at least a week, and then after that decided moved. Google's own YouTube suspended Trump's channel for at least a week late Tuesday, announcing that it removed the video of his Tuesday morning news conference in light of concerns about the ongoing potential for violence. Speaking back on that, Amazon Web Services have dropped Parler, a website that was closely related to far-rightist rhetoric and social media. Snapchat has banned Trump. Reddit has banned Trump. Twitch has banned Trump. Mas. The internet is built off of the premise of free speech, of open conversation, right? Now, understandably, the bans that they placed on Trump were directly linked to the efforts that he made to promote the insurrection that took place in the Capitol. In quoting Twitter co-founder, what's his gentleman's name? Jack
Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey, my brother's right there to catch him with me. Jack Dorsey, he had mentioned how it was in order to protect further outside of the internet actions and harm being done based on something that has come from the internet, and that this is in fact a turning point in most social medias, or he said should be a turn in most social medias efforts in order to prevent harmful outcomes like this.
I'm conflicted.
How so?
I'm conflicted because why? And this sucks because I'm never ever caping for Trump. Fuck him. But why are we banning Trump from the social media platforms because the people who we feel he incited attacked something that represents the federal government, right? When the federal government is the victim, we take the most extreme measures as if the federal government doesn't itself perpetuate and perpetrate violence against civilians. Now, I think taking Trump off of social media will indeed hinder more oncoming violence, right? Whether or not it's right, whether or not it stands by the Constitution, I do think taking him off of social media will make it more, will take away a powerful voice that added to rhetoric that I do believe we have seen has been proven to result in violence. So we're at a very complicated place, right? And what I don't want is for Black voices, as we move from this moment in which energy for social change with regard to what happens to Black people was so high, as we try and carry that into the future, I don't want this to set precedent for voices that are fighting for that as we attack the establishment, which sometimes is going to be the federal government, which has perpetrated violence and perpetuated violence against Black people, right? So this is truly a case of when we fight for the rights of one person, we have to fight for the rights of everybody, even if we can't stand that person. But I want it to be full and clear that I do believe that if he does have access to these places that give short bursts of information, that don't fact check, that allow for these, quick displays of baseless buffoonery, but that does connect with a certain portion of people, I think there will be more violence. So I think it's tough.
There will be more violence, and the tough elements of it, right? And this is the dilemma that the internet is gonna face, Miles, is that the the unwritten laws of the internet are somewhat like the constitution of engagement on the internet, which is that this is a space where you can almost find a community of anything that you want to, that you believe in, that you care about, that you want information on. It gets very, very granular, right? It can even get dark sometimes, like we've seen on the dark web. But ultimately it is a space for everybody to be able to participate in those conversations. Now, the dilemma for the internet is that at what place do you draw the line between allowing spaces for people to conversate, regardless of what the content of those conversations are, right? Now, when it comes to particularly the Trump situation, I fully do believe that one, he played a active role in perpetuating the violence that took place, and anybody that can perpetuate violence regardless of their political standpoint, regardless of their position in office, regardless of who they are and their celebrity status, violence should not be promoted anywhere. We take the same. We would take, if you take away the internet element of it, and you break down that situation as a person interaction, that's the same thing as seeing people being aggravated and somebody in the room screaming fight, 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 and encouraging that person should not be in the room. We should take that person out the room, right? Now, what this then does seemingly is continue to cause fracture between conversations that are happening in the US. And it makes me sad, because the true solution to the US getting to a place where there's more peaceful, there's more room to be able to have nuanced conversations in the society, that gets fractured because the internet is supposed to be that place. So that's their challenge that I see for all of these social media platforms.
Yeah, I think that's the challenge we face, and I think you put it perfectly, man. I don't in a world where there wasn't so much that I believe we'll have to fight for in ways that go against the system, I would be much more inclined to say that it's good that the system recognized a threat and silenced it and is stifling it.
For
But
sure.
yeah, I think we as in you and I, and we as in America, are figuring it out in real time, man. And I don't know if they know what to do with the voice of somebody like Trump, who I don't think, yeah, I think if you were to try the case as censorship, I think he would have a leg to stand on. Um, so I think we're figuring it out in real time what to do with somebody who could push us to a place where, yeah, there is no turning back. There is no reconciliation.
And look, it's important to understand that somebody that is more toxic, that is more outlandish, that is more hateful will arise because the precedent has been set that that person could be president, right? And if we know anything about the internet culture and how we interact right now and our attention spans and how limited and finite our attention span is because of the vast amount of information that is just at our fingertips, you need to be ludicrous in order to stand out. Seemingly so. The things that garner the most amount of attention are things that have a lot of lunacy in them. They're things that are outlandish, things that stand out, things that have fake hair and orange spray tans and say quite vulgar things. Those are things that now the system has made space for to be acceptable. Those are no longer prerequisites that would count you out from being able to hold a place of power. Those are now things that we understand as, listen, sometimes it's like they call it locker room talk or whatever the case is. So it's important to understand that from this cesspool of what the internet is, we're getting to a place where that is going to happen again, and it's up to these social media platforms to be in a, to have preventative measures against that. I'm all for that, but still allowing space for people to speak.
And it's also just up to us as individual people to choose better, right? It's up to us to realize that we take for granted, and it happens so fast, but we take for granted having the internet and having access to things that reinforce our opinions, that will tear down our opinions, that entertain us, that make us feel good, that make us cry. We have access to all of it in our hands. And I don't think we are as discerning as we should be with what we intake, with what we believe, with what we run with and argue about and spread to other people. I think we need to reevaluate our connection to the internet and all this information and realize that you need to, if you're not if you took it in 30 seconds, don't do anything with it that will make anyone else spend more than a minute on it.
There's a double time rule on internet information. So if you have only spent 10 seconds on this information, don't don't force it on somebody to spend a minute trying to understand it. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying if you only spent 30 seconds reading up on something, don't go then and regurgitate it to somebody else as fact in a way that's going to make them think about it for more time than you spent educating yourself about it, right? So if I just read a headline, which might take me 5 seconds to read, and maybe the what was available before the article cut off in my phone's vertical view, right? For me to read that and to take that to somebody else without having read the story and to tell them, you know, this information as if it's fact, where they're going to carry that information throughout the rest of their day. I just think we need to be in a space where we think more about the gravity of doing that. You know what I mean? Like, of running with things, of not taking things in, of only knowing half the story and then giving it to someone else to fill in, not knowing what they're going through. We
Yeah.
just we pass all this stuff along without thought, and I don't think I think it's part of why this misinformation is so easily circulates. Is this game of telephone? We take for granted how our access to information, and we think that, you know, convenience has reached a point where you can find anything in your phone, sure, but if you're not looking at what it really says, if you're only looking for the fact that reinforces what you already thought, then you are misleading people.
No, for sure, and it's important to be able to also identify the dangers in being in misleading people. Right now, how we've seen through Cambridge Analytica, like you had mentioned, a manipulation of facts and a manipulation of information on Facebook has arguably changed the outcomes of elections, which was the 2014 elections, right? Which have all been based on this, if any, and if people haven't been fully up on it, the Cambridge Analytica scandal was a company, Cambridge Analytica in the UK, which was doing marketing and promoting and does database marketing promoting. Now, what they do is they combine algorithms that are then able to read what somebody's bio is, to read their data on these social media platforms and be able to construct tailor-made false news that speaks to those people. Right now, for instance, let's say Miles Xavier likes bandanas. That makes Miles a GD. So they would say, I'm playing.
Wow. I just felt myself get inserted to the gang database, nigga. This Zoom shit ain't encrypted, nigga. They literally just put me in there as they heard you say that. I heard some pen on paper. I'm in there
For
now.
sure.
Damn.
Listen,
Wow.
contrary to popular belief, Miles is not a GD. So they read your online bio, and they take that bio and then they craft they craft information and they craft headlines that then qualify the type of information that you would be interested in, you being the user, and that has been used to manipulate elections. Right? There's a great documentary on it. Go check it out. All to say, it is important to understand the power of misinformation is today's day and age. A quote that I love, that I think can put a nice ribbon on this conversation is that is that a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has time to tie its shoes. Transition. What are you gonna add over there?
No, you got it. You got it.
Damn. All right.
Blow the guns off. Put it in the bag.
Cool. You want to walk us into rec and review?
Yeah, man. I need some champion type music to walk on into the ring.
Oh, I got you.
Oh, we still got that shit with that bop in it. Oh, they thought that little nigga went pop in.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the right energy.
I thought so.
That's the energy I saw in that fight, boy. Man, that might be the best fight. That might be one of my favorite fights I've ever seen.
Introduce it to the people.
That might be one of my favorite fights I've ever seen. What they need to know, man. Look, I'm hype. We just saw the craziest, you know what I'm saying, most floatingest, butterflyingest things we ever seen since Ali. You know what I'm saying? You might float like Holloway and sting like Ali. If you're really in the zone, man. It was crazy. We just watched the UFC fight. And wow.
UFC Fight Island 7, I believe was the name of the event. Miles Xavier. This particular fight was something spectacular. Now, I don't know what I don't know how many UFC fans we have out there. I don't know how many people are into fighting, but please watch the Max Holloway and Cater fight. That is some of the best fighting you'll see. It's like, it reminds me of Israel Adesanya, Izzy.
But consistent, round after round of just a clinic. Different weapons being utilized, like as far as leg kicks, elbows, head kicks, like, man, just a clinic, bro. It was amazing to watch. It was and like no disrespect to Cater, man. He held his own. He held it.
No, fam. You
He was,
can't disrespect him. He stayed up. Like after a whooping like that, I told you, I was like, bro, I don't know how I would be up after something like that.
yeah, man. So it was amazing to see him in there, a warrior, you know. But man, did Max Holloway just
It's a masterclass. It's a masterclass. There's nothing more else to be said about it. Listen, from the first round, and let's not forget, Max recently lost to Volkanovski at that was his last fight, and he took that with a lot of humility. Max always been somebody that we've always appreciated. So seeing him go back, and you see him coming back, he looks stronger. He looks more in shape. It was such a great fight. Wow. And I believe he broke the record for the most strike attempts in UFC history. This man threw 736 strikes in the fight. That is ridiculous.
yeah, it was absolutely amazing, man. The fluidity, the gas tank that he had. He didn't seem like he was tired. The ability to put on a little bit of showmanship in the later rounds, bro. A no look
Too
punch,
cool.
a no
I've
look
never
punch,
seen that. He almost
dances
did like
away,
LeBron.
and then dances away from a flurry of punches. He was, he was in his zone. He was in his bag. It was amazing to watch. It was beautiful to watch. Something I caught the commentator saying throughout the fight was that he was doing no sparring before this fight,
I
no
caught that
heavy
too.
sparring. Like, I don't know if the principle behind that is you get back in there and you get punched, and that puts you back in the zone, or what, or that just increases the fluidity of you relying on your combinations and just the rhythm of how they are supposed to land in one combination to a different one. But man, did he look prepared? Did he look just I've watched a few of his fights, and that was just by far the most grace and just strength I've seen him show, not only just like in strength in terms of like strong punches, but strength in terms of just mental fortitude for a whole fight, for a 5-round fight. It was
For
amazing.
sure. For sure. And just to see him never lose his composure. Ooh, sorry, my COVID acted up. Just to see him not lose any of his composure throughout those fights, really staying consistent, as you said.
Bless you.
As you said, the gas tank that Max Holloway has. I'd love for him to get another title shot again. He is the number one contender, so I'm pretty sure we will see that again. I cannot wait for a Volkanovski Holloway 2 fight. I think that is going to be just absolutely spectacular. It doesn't look like Max took that much of a beating, so hopefully Max, the blessed one Holloway, will be able to bless us again very soon with another performance. That was spectacular. That's some of the best fighting. It's up there with is Izzy versus Gastelum. It's up there for me.
Man, it was one of, I think, the fights that just watching it, I was just the most impressed. So if I was if I wanted anybody to see like why I watched the UFC, this is definitely high on the list of fights I would show them. So
another one that I'd show them is Colby Covington versus Kumar Usman. That right there, where he breaks Covington's jaw, absolutely spectacular. A must see. Listen, people, if you're not up on this ABC, on this UFC wagon yet, if you are into fighting, believe you me, and I've been a boxing fan since I was a child. My dad put me into boxing as I was a kid. I've been loving fighting my whole life. This right here is some of the most exciting stuff that is out here right now in sports.
Yeah, and you mentioned something important too. Like this was the first fight on ABC for the UFC. So for this to be the show that was put on, only speaks to amazing things coming forward. I don't know if the next UFC event is on ABC or not, but this McGregor and
Poirier
fight is going to be pretty dope too. So yeah, now is the time. If you was thinking about tuning in, checking it out, do it. It's raw.
Do it. It's one of those. It's at a place right now where all of the competition is at its highest. There's so many gunners in every single division. It's almost fully action-packed. You're almost guaranteeing a good fight. Totally worth it. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely totally worth it for those that haven't checked it out.
Yeah.
Straight like that. Straight like that. Brother Miles, have we shortchanged these people in any way, shape, or form?
I don't know. You gotta stop moving the mic like that. That's noisy. Don't do that. Don't do that. But yes, no, we have not shortchanged them at all. But if you have any other topics, you can call me MC, slice them up, dice them up. I will take them topics to the limit. I hang them over the edge of the cliff like Scar. They say my name like Mufasa, and then put their ass back, give it to the people, serve it on a hot plate with a side of macaroni and cheese and collard greens. I'm out here.
I saw a recent TikTok breakdown of the death scene in Lion King and how they break down how Scar ended up eating Mufasa, and the skull that he plays with in the cave is actually Mufasa's Scar. There you go.
Doesn't
Disney
he play
history.
Oh,
Because hyenas don't eat lions. Lions eat lions.
that's savage. Wow.
Hey man. Listen, the range on this podcast is far and wide. The
It is.
range on this podcast is far and wide. I'm telling you, next week we're gonna be doing makeup tutorials. You don't know what's next on here.
No. Next week, we're going to talk about what you walk into at a party and you see, and you know it's time to leave. You know you're not going to be at this party long. That's the topic. I want to cover that with
People, niggas with guns.
It's a long list of things that you walk into a party and you see everybody and you're looking for the person that you know in the party, but you also see some other things on your way and you're like, oh, we won't be staying here. We will talk about what those things are on the next podcast. We will talk about it right now if it wasn't for the fact that we know.
We know.
That we're aware that you got too many choices when it turns to coming into a podcast. You know what I'm saying? That's not how I wanted to say that. But you know you got too many options. You know what I'm saying? When you're flying with a certain podcast, we appreciate you for putting your seat backs and your tray tables up and allowing us to land this thing. You know what I'm saying? You know we are figuring it all out in real time. You know we are a celebration of life, a celebration of celebrating, a celebration of blackness. Don't it feel good to feel black?
My favorite thing in the world, baby.
We are appreciative of everybody who tunes into this, John, man. This is me and my brother having the time of our lives, trying to figure out the craziest times we've ever seen in our lives, man. So thank you for tuning in like that. Peace, water, love. We gone.
Oh, put that.